Welcome back to Pittsburgh Living on KDKA-TV. I'm your host, Shelley Duffy, and today we have 6 excellent tri-state businesses, and right now it's time to welcome Dr. Ian Bulow from Revive Upper Cervical Chiropractic. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So that's a mouthful.
Sure, yeah.
So explain to me Upper Cervical Chiropractic. What is it?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it is kind of an unknown. You know, in healthcare there are tons of emerging therapies and procedures, and chiropractic is no different. There's a lot of different subspecialties. And in upper cervical chiropractic, the cervical area of your spine is actually your neck. So when we say upper cervical, what it really means is upper neck, and we focus at the point where your skull sits on the top of your neck, because the latest research shows that area has a really big role to play when it comes to overall body balance, but especially brain function. It has a really big role to play in how well your brain works and therefore how well the rest of your body functions.
When do things go wrong with it?
Oh man, there's on one hand we could try and put our kids in plastic bubbles and live like we're not going to damage anything, but life is life and stuff happens, from the birth process to slips and falls, and you knock your head on the fire hearth as a child, or car accidents and sporting injuries. Through life, there's a lot of little things that add up, and what we find is that those little things end up to where adults come into the clinic with 5 different medications. They've been to 10 different specialists, and they don't know why their body's behaving the way it's behaving. And we look back and say, well, it was a lot of these injuries over time that the body just broke down over time. And then in other cases, we have younger children that are athletes that have these concussions and accidents where they immediately know there's a need, and we're able to help them as well.
All right, now we have a couple of guests in the studio with us today. Why don't you introduce us to
Sure.
them and let us know what the situation was with them?
Absolutely. Today we have 2 special guests. One is our patient Audrey, and she is a high school student who was in a soccer injury, and she can explain that. And I also have her mom, because a lot of the parents, her mom Danielle, a lot of the parents, they're lost. When we see these kids, the parents, they just want their child to be better, and they've been going to specialist to specialist to specialist, and that's fine, and a lot of times they get help there. But for the parents that don't get help, they're really wondering where to turn, and I thought it would be great to ask both Audrey about her experience and maybe Danielle about hers as a parent, what Audrey has gone through.
Audrey, tell us about your story. What happened to you?
Well, on August 16th, I was playing soccer as a goalie for my soccer team, and I was kicked in the head when diving for a ball. I lost my ability to speak very quickly. I started to stutter. Then after developing a pseudo-seizure type deal, I lost my ability to walk.
And where did you turn from there? Obviously you were going to doctors. How did you know to seek out Dr. Bulow?
Well, after going to countless doctors, my mother met a friend of a friend of a friend who had a daughter with the same situation I was in, who went to Dr. Bulow. She recommended him highly, told her to skip all the neurologists and everything, and just go straight to the chiropractor because he could help.
Audrey, how has your life changed since all of this happened and since you've been going to Dr. Bulow?
Well, at first it was horrible. Like I never thought it was going to end. I really thought that I was going to live the rest of my life this way, and I was thinking about all my friends that I would probably lose in the future, and the friends that I lost but when I got the concussion, and how I'd never get them back. But when I started going to Dr. Bulow, the first visit I got, the first adjustment, you could immediately tell that my stutter was disappearing. I could just think a little bit more. I could get thoughts out faster. And now that I've gone to him, my life has completely changed. People are talking to me again. I can focus. I'm going to school better. I'm getting better grades. I'm doing more work. I'm actually being active and hanging out with people again and continuing a normal life, which was what I wanted all along. So.
All right, Doctor, you want to let us know about Audrey's mom and what she has to say about this. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we actually have Danielle here, and what I was curious was to see, as a parent, you have your child's coming to you, they can't walk, barely walk straight, is having a stutter, and you don't know you're going to options, and so I was kind of curious what, on her end of the story, what it felt like being the mom of a child who's not doing so well, and what her experience was.
And I'm sure it was so frightening for you, Danielle.
It was frightening. It was frustrating. No answers from doctors. I mean, they gave me what they could, but it wasn't in their jurisdiction. And after all the neurologists wanted, time and time, with the walking and the speech, was for me to take her to a psychologist. I'm not against psychology, but it wasn't what was wrong with her, and it became very frustrating.
And so you finally found some answers with Dr. Bulow, and what kind of a feeling is that when you're finally getting the answers you need, your child is improving?
It's a relief. It's a relief. I mean, I knew the girl that I had prior to the accident, and I wanted her back, and it is horrifying to see your child having seizures, getting called from school, just knowing that she was struggling to keep herself going, and the more she pushed herself, the worse it got. And of course, the headaches were relieved immediately, and that's a plus in itself, to know that you can go at least a few hours without a headache. But then, just as recent as 2 weeks ago, the stuttering just left, and the walking was perfect. And it means a lot, because I really didn't know how I was going and how she was going to live the rest of her life with these conditions. I'm impressed with parents who can, but if you know that there's help out there that can change it, it's just a relief.
And what would you love to say to parents right now? What would you like to let them know about if their child has been in this type of situation?
Don't exhaust any options. I mean, dare to dream outside the box. If I didn't have friends, I am one of the luckiest people alive. If it wasn't for my father having a chiropractic friend who also led me back to Dr. Bulow, and my friend of a friend who referred him to me, and it's just, but word of mouth. Parents need to know they have to ask the questions. If they don't get the questions out there, they're not going to learn about it, and it does make a difference.
All right, Audrey and Danielle, thank you so much for sharing your story. Doctor, how does it make you feel when you have gotten to the root of a problem like that?
Yeah, I tell people all the time that I probably have the best job in the world, to be honest with you. It's not always easy, but it's always very, very rewarding, and it's pretty incredible. I was talking to patients the other day. I said, it's actually kind of crazy if you think about it. We're not putting anything into the body to necessarily artificially stimulate it, and we're not removing anything in the body. What we're doing is realigning the skull so that the brain can actually send the messages down through the spinal cord out over the nerve roots the way they're designed to do, and improve blood supply to the brain. And when you do those things, the body's just designed to heal and function a certain way. So it's become somewhat, we expect improvements across like different levels and things like that. But it's if you stop and look back, it's pretty awesome, the types of cases that we see, and it's really easy to be inspired in what I do.
All right, what would you tell people if they wanted this type of help? Maybe if they didn't know about this type of help, what would you like to let them know?
So the biggest issue right now in our field is just awareness, right? There's been a great deal of awareness in different healthcare concerns and things like that, and the problem with most people is that when they have an injury to the head and the neck, or the child has an injury to the head and the neck, or even if they don't think they've had an injury, a lot of car accidents, maybe the car's not broken, but inside your body has been shaken up. And prevention's the name of the game. So they need to have it checked. And just like you would check your blood pressure with a cuff, in our world we do thermal heat imaging of the spine to measure for inflammation at the base of the skull. So the first step is to have an evaluation, see what's going on. In our office we have a fairly thorough consultation process. They can call and get scheduled for one of those, and we can sit down with them. In fact, we're actually having an event in the community. We're having an educational awareness dinner. We have patients out in the Donegal area. There's going to be a dinner out there. Our office is in Cranberry Township, but if patients are interested, or if the community is interested, they can call our office and we can get them connected with a consultation in our facility, or they can come out and join us on March 31st. We're going to be out in Donegal having an awareness event out that way.
All right, any final thoughts?
You know what? I would just let people know that life and health really truly does come from the inside out. There's not anything that someone can ever really give to you that's going to restore your life and health, that's something inherent. And as opposed to micromanaging what's wrong, we should really be out there seeking how can we restore what's right. And that's a different philosophy, but when you go down that road, the possibilities are quite endless.
Thank you so much for everything. Great
Absolutely.
information, Dr. Bulow. Now, if you would like to know more about Revive Upper Cervical Chiropractic, just give Dr. Bulow a call at 724-772-7060, or you can log on to revivepittsburgh.com. Up next, we'll talk to Bernadette Santucci from Panera. That's next when Pittsburgh Living continues on KDKA TV.